In this video, we're going to talk about multiplying fractions. I think this is a pretty straightforward concept. It makes sense. When we look at this first example, the model shows the product of 6 and 1/4. Remember, product is an answer of a multiplication question. So down here, complete the multiplication sentence that matches the model. 6 times 1/4, and they've made it really visual for you here. It's obviously 6/4. But I think that makes sense. 6, it's just like 6 times 1 is 6, but we're not talking about 6 times 1, we're talking about 6 times 1/4 is 6/4. The biggest takeaway I'd say here is to remember that the bottom, the denominator doesn't change. It's not 6/24 or anything like that. You don't times both the top and bottom by 6. You're just multiplying the numerator or the top by 6. Our denominator stays the same. So 6 times 1/4 is 6/4, which we see very clearly up here. Second example, the model shows the product of 7 and a fraction. Complete the multiplication sentence that matches the model. So 7 times what equals 7/2. So we notice we've gone over 7 times here, 3, 5, 6, 7, and I think it's pretty clear that 7 times a half is 7/2. 1/2, 2/2, 3/2, 4/2, 5/2, 6/2, 7/2. So really straightforward. All we need to write in is 7 times 1/2. The thing I want you to start to notice is you can almost multiply straight across the top. 6 times 1 is 6. The 4 stays the same. 7 times 1 is 7. The denominator of 2 stays the same. Keep that in mind. In addition to using number lines, another way we can look at the multiplication of fractions is with models. So it's getting you in this practice activity to identify which model represents the product of 2 times 1/4. The trick is some kids will see the 2 and they'll think, okay, 2 shapes. But remember, if you think of the straight across multiplication, 2 times 1/4 is only 2/4 because that's what we're multiplying, and we're just going across the top. 2 times 1 is 2. The denominator stays the same. So 2/4 is only identified or visualized here by this second shape where we have 2 quarters filled in, 2 out of the 4. Down here, same concept. This one a little trickier. Which model represents the product of 6 times 2/6? So you could just count it up 1, 2, 3. So that's 1, that's 2, that's 3, that's 4, that's 5, that's 6. So I know it's this one. We could think about it like multiplication. 6 times 2 is 12 over 6. If we simplify that, I hope you recognize that it is 2 over 1 or 2 whole. So it must be this shape here. In these last examples, we're just doing the multiplication without models or number lines. Multiply, write your answer as a fraction or as a whole or mixed number. So 4 times 1/2. Something I like to do so I don't mess up. Sometimes I'll write 4 whole, remember, is like 4 over 1, same thing, times 1/2. And then I can kind of multiply just straight across so I know I don't make a mistake. 4 times 1 is 4, 1 times 2 is 2. So that is 4/2, which 4 divided by 2, 2 whole. I could have thought of it as I can divide this by 2, I can divide this by 2, and lowest it's 2 over 1 or 2. It says you can answer as a fraction or a whole number, so I'm not sure which way it would like you to write it, but all are correct. Just in case you wanted a visual representation of this, 4 times 1/2, I'm going to color in, there's 1/2, there's a second half, a third half, and a fourth half. So 4 times 1/2, obviously I have 2 whole here, as we see. In this example, the numbers are bigger, so it would take me longer, to draw the picture. So this is where I just default to doing the multiplication straight across. Multiply, write your answer as a fraction or as a whole number or mixed number. 14 times 3, I'll be honest, I'm not sure what that is off the top of my head, so I'm just going to do some simple multiplication down here. 3 times 4 is 12, 2 down, 1 up. 1 times 3 is 3, plus 1 is 4. So 42 over 1 times 7 is 7. Again, hoping you recognize in terms of your familiarity with your multiplication, 42 can be divided by 7 or simplified. Both Let's simplify it so you can see that. Both can be divided by 7. I hope you recognize, oh, 6 times 7, I remember that, is 42. So 42 divided by 7 is 6. 7 divided by 7 is 1, obviously. So our whole answer, or our whole number, would be 6. And last example. Again, the numbers are too big for me to want to draw it out, so I'm just going to do the straight across multiplication. Multiply. Write your answer as a fraction or as a whole or mixed number. So I'm going to write 40, and I like to write over 1, 40 whole, times 17 over 20 equals 40 times 17 I can't do. I'm going to go like this, 40 times 17. 0 times those is both 0, 0 down. 4 times 7 is 28, 8 down, 2 up. 1 times 4 is 4, plus 2 is 6. Plus it together, obviously 680. 680, and 1 times 20 is 20. Now I recognize immediately that I can easily divide both those by 10. So I'm going to do that. Divided by 10, divided by 10. And that's going to equal 68 over 2. Now I think I can make that smaller. Again, I notice they're both even. So divided by 2, divided by 2. Sorry, running out of space, so I'm having to make it a little smaller. 2 divided by 2 is obviously 1. 68 split in half, 34. So 34 over 1, my whole number answer is 34 whole. Okay, that's it for this section. Good luck.